Hi there. I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Caroline Larissy and I am Chief Executive of the National Hair and Beauty Federation. And so today it's exciting. It's our second recording of our sofa talk with the NHBF. And I've got an absolutely fantastic guest that I'm going to ask her to introduce herself in a minute. But first of all, I wanted to introduce this little guy. Now, this is George, bless him, and he's very relaxed today for his first, live podcast, isn't he?
Very well behaved.
And he'll be joining us as part of this.
I think he might be bored. Hopefully not too bored.
Oh, that's it. So anyway, let me get you to introduce yourself. That would be great.
Okay, so can I just firstly start off by saying this is my very first podcast. I am a virgin to podcasts, so hopefully I will do you justice today, Caroline. I'm sorry if I don't. I'll try not to bleep. And also, my name is Lesley Wilkes and I am an aesthetician. I can never say that. It's so hard to say. It's like one of them tongue twisty things. So, I am in the aesthetics, beauty, skin, permanent makeup market. And basically, I transitioned over from hairdressing, but a little bit more about that later. And I'm delighted to be here. So thank you so much for having me.
And most importantly to me is you're an NHBF member.
Yes, I am.
Which is absolutely fantastic. And anybody who doesn't know who the NHBF is, we are the largest trade organisation for the hair and beauty sector. So we look after hairdressers, barbers, beauty therapists, aesthetic practitioners, businesses across the board, where the small micro franchise as part of that. And we provide advice, support and guidance. And we always say that we're a little bit of a safety net for businesses. But we're going to dip into a little bit more.
Yeah, it's an amazing organisation, I have to say, and something which everybody should have as like their little comfort blanket, really, I think. New little blankie.
That's it. So let's kick off and let's put you under pressure from the start.
Okay, I love pressure.
A little bit of, where did you start?
Have you got another podcast? You might be on all day, to be fair. I do have a tendency to kind of waffle on a bit, so just stop me if I do that, Rob, please. So I entered quite a while ago when I was 14 in hairdressing and worked in a salon. I did my training for hair and beauty at college.
Oh, ditto.
Just a few years ago. I wish. So my journey really began with accumulation of both. Remember back in the day, was it MBQ then?
Yeah, I
know MBQs now. What am I saying about? It was
Rosing Gills, City and Guilds.
Yes. So it was back in them days in South Shields. So I'm a northeastern girl. And I did my transition. The reason I went into hair, I loved beauty probably more than I liked hair at the time, if I'm perfectly honest with you. But hair was a little bit more exciting at the time, and it made you more money. Yeah. So you only had to do 2 years in hairdressing, and my course was 2 years. So you only had to do 2 years in hairdressing, and then beauty. If you wanted to then go on and have a career in beauty, you needed to do another year, which I didn't really want to do, to be honest. I wanted to be out there earning money. So I went down the hair route and worked for a salon company. At the time, I was doing like Saturday work with a company called Cuts up in Sunderland, which is still there, I think. Yeah. And then I kind of worked for SNL, if anybody remembers SNL, in the Metro Centre. The very first salon they did in there when it first opened. So, I'll let you do the maths as how old I am. So that was my journey to start with. And then I kind of progressed, fast forward a few years, and I'd always wanted to work for a product hair company. Yeah. And at the time, I remember applying for Kleinel when I was about 20 for a job. I saw this job advertised, I think it was in Hairdressers Journal or something like that. And I was like, I can do that. Yeah. Combining sales with what I love. And I got rejected because I was too young. Right. So fast forward a few more years, and then I applied again, and the job was for Schwarzkopf. And I got the job.
Yeah.
So I spent 10 years at Schwarzkopf, and I have to say, I think I still hold the record for being promoted, the first person to be promoted as quick for a key account manager's role. I have to say, back in the days of the lovely, lovely man, Peter Belcher. So I spent 10 very, very good years with Schwarzkopf. And I have to say, that was my biggest learning ground ever. I looked after key accounts. I was literally kind of thrown in at the deep end. I looked after Scotland, all the north.
Yeah.
And one of my most inspirational salons, well, two people, was Rita Rusk at the time. I used to look after her, and Alan and Linda from Rainbow Room.
Right.
And we're still
NHBF members.
Oh, they both, yes. I did see them, and we still keep in touch now and again as well. And I have to say, probably earlier in my career like that, I just kind of wanted a salon like that.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh my God, everything what they do is perfect. I remember from this is back in the day where tea and coffee weren't, it was like, do you want a cup of tea? Do you want a cup of coffee? And you'd go in some salons and the hair would still be in the tea.
Yeah.
And you'd be like, no, I remember I've got to tell you this funny story. I was sidetracking, but I was in Scotland doing my area once, and I think it was up in Oban or somewhere like that, up in the highs of Scotland. And when you sat down, they still had them old-fashioned hair, the hair dryers.
Oh, right.
Yeah. And she was like, do you want, I can't do a Scottish accent, but do you want some soup? And I was like, what do you mean? And all the people, the women under the thing, they're all drinking cabbage soup. You're like, what the hell is that? I'm like, no, I politely declined that one. So that was a really good grounding for me to see. I think because the salons at the time up there, they were thriving. They were offering like tea, coffee, hot chocolate, cappuccino. Like, what's this all about? Wine in the salons. And that was the start of it. So I always wanted my own salon. And that kind of inspired me a bit to have my own salon. So this is what I'm saying. You need a podcast in itself just for my history. I'm sorry. But yeah, so that really inspired me, and I thought I had my first child at the time, and I thought, really, do I want to be that kind of mum who doesn't pick their child up from school?
Yeah.
And that was a deciding point for me, and I kind of thought, well, no, I want to have the flexibility to be able to do that.
And I think that's one of the good things about the industry.
Yeah.
The transferability, and when you become a mum, you can, do a job and have a young child.
Yeah, totally. And I have to say, I was still working at Schwarzkopf the time when I had my first son, Jordan. And it was very difficult. I was away for like a week every month up in Scotland, doing the area up there. So for almost 5 years I did that. And then when he was about to start school, I thought, I don't want to be that mum.
Yeah.
And then I got pregnant again, which kind of decided it all with my second son. So it just it kind of flowed very nicely. And I opened my very first salon called Lloyd's in December 1999. What was I thinking opening it just before Christmas? I was like, I needed my head thingy. So what I did with that, I picked out all the good elements of all the salons I used to visit.
Yeah.
There was like Steve from West Row, there was Rainbow Rooms, there was Rita Rusk, there was some amazing salons who I'm still friends with.
Yeah.
And I kind of cherry-picked all the best parts of theirs and put them into my business. And I have to say, I'm so proud of this because I don't really tell people this that often, but I actually won the British Hairdressing Awards Business Award for Best Newcomer Salon a year after, and we came runner-up in the very grand final of the Colour Trophy.
Wow.
So yeah, can't find the trophies now, but yeah, and that was like a real stickling point for me.
Yeah.
So I quickly outgrew that salon. Then I opened Colour Lounge, and this was 3 years later, and that was one of the biggest projects I've ever undergone. It took 3 months to build a salon from scratch.
Yeah.
But it was like a phenomenon where we were in Hull. It was like the first of its kind, and I combined beauty with that. So it was hair, beauty, and a training academy. And I kind of thought, what have I done? Have we bitten off more than we can chew? But my husband and I are very like, right, if we're going to do something, we've got to do it properly.
Yeah.
And that's always been my ethos. And I think that kind of sets a good stead for what I'm doing now, which we'll come on to in a bit, because it's been a massive transition for me. So having Colour Lounge, we opened that. I had at one point 32 staff. I still have the other salon. And do you know what? When people say, how did you do it? Like, I have some of the staff, even now, who I still see. One of them still does my hair, Kelly, bless her. She's like, how on earth did you manage that? I've got one salon with a few staff, and how did you do it? But you know what? I just thrived on it. I loved it. And I think once you have good ground rules in place, I used the best companies, I used the best strategies, I had very professional things in place. Like my manual for my staff was probably bigger than most companies were.
Yeah.
But I was quite strict, but firm, but fair. And that's always been my belief with staff, be firm, but fair. Until like every time I went on holiday, you'd get a call, can I have a meeting? Or like, right, you're handing your notice in. You don't need the meeting, just, come on.
Yeah.
It made me become a bit of a harder person because I was a bit too soft. And it used to be like, my husband used to come round if there was like, to sack somebody or something. I'd go, Steve, could you come round? Like, I can't do it. And then gradually I was like, yeah, I'm fine. If you don't want to be here, like, you're not here. So I think like career-wise, that's hardened me a little bit.
Yeah.
And I grew up very fast then because I had to.
Yeah.
Because this
And I
was
think
like,
a lot of salon owners can relate to that.
yeah,
I mean, particularly at the moment where it's
Yeah.
very challenging
it's very hard.
to
Yeah,
keep staff, isn't it?
unbelievably. Yeah,
Staff up more and more and more, and then there's all
Yeah.
these rules that keep coming in, and there's employment law changes and stuff like that, and it's really challenging for somebody that employs staff at
Yeah.
a time.
And I think on the staff point of view, because I had that 10 years background with a big company, I had the structure in place. And I would honestly say that for anybody who has a business, you have to have that. And I'm so glad I had that because that's disciplined me in what I'm doing now. In everything what I do is having that really good grounding. So Schwarzkopf did that. I can't ever thank them enough for that. It gives me that like great, almost like that's how it should be.
Yeah.
With systems in place. And I think without systems, I'm very much a systematic person. Your life runs like an appointment book, doesn't it, when you're in our industry?
Yeah.
And I do think that's been kind of like the biggest learning thing really for me.
Yeah.
Um,
It's a lot of the stuff that we do for our members because we're
Yeah.
so aware that being on the shop floor is the priority. That's
course.
what brings the money in.
Yeah.
And it's all the other things that needed to run a successful business,
Yeah.
which is the hard bit, which salon owners and business owners
Find
just don't have
hard.
time to do.
Yeah, and I think especially with NHBF, I mean, we used to be the NHF at the time. The B didn't come into it until a little bit later. But yeah, we were massive like fans of the NHF at the time because we just used to ring up. You had a problem with that. You're like, right, I really don't know what to do here. Is this right? And sometimes it's just that checklist, isn't it? To go, look, is what I'm doing right?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously we had a lot of staff at the time, but people who work on their own, I think it's nice just to have that safety net, isn't it? And that safety blanket, like your blankie, your little blankie. So quickly I kind of progressed from there to building this salon. Again, I'm going to kind of blow my own trumpet. I hate doing this, but I did win quite a lot of awards. The strangest one, I won't go on too long about this, but there is a funny story attached to this, was I used to enter all these, because I thought, right, I'm more businessy, because when I had Colour Lounge, I didn't work in the business. So some of my staff didn't even know I did hairdressing before, and I had that career before, and I could do hair. And I used to love colour, because I'd sit through all them things with Schwarzkopf, do the colour degree and everything we had to. I kind of knew, I thought, I sometimes know more than like the younger staff on, with the colouring and things. And then I used to train some of the staff as well. So when I kind of went in for these awards, to me, it wasn't necessarily the industry awards what appealed to me anymore, because I kind of thought, right, okay. I mean, some of the staff entered them, but I never invested massive money in them because as a business decision, it wasn't viable.
Yeah.
And sorry for this, people who, go into the awards and spend thousands. I'm not knocking you here, whatever floats your boat. But for me, it was more about the business. And I remember doing this business course with Schwarzkopf once, and I can't remember his name now, but I think Andrew something. Anyway, and he once told us, he went, right, if you were to set up a business, one of the best strategies to have in business is not to put your name above the door. Because if you ever sold the business would be worth a lot less. And that's why I called it Colour Lounge. I never wanted it to be about me. I wanted it to be about everybody else and pushing them forward. And even now, kind of moving on to that, I find it very hard to self-promote because I'm used to promoting other people. And I'm actually better at promoting other people. So that transition came along with the beauty, because we had beauty in the salon. It was half and half. And I have to say at the time, it was probably 30% turnover was beauty and 70% was hair. And that's kind of how it was. And then there was a flip.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether a lot of people might remember this. There was a little bit of a transition with hair and the recession starting to kick in. And what happened was I'd just won the Yorkshire Businesswoman of the Year award, which I have to say I wasn't there for, but that's another story. I was actually on holiday, and this girl kept ringing. She was like, "You are going to be there. You are going to be there." I'm like, "No, I'm in Gran Canaria right now," but I didn't tell her that. I was like, "Yeah, I'll be there." And anyway, I won this award, and my staff picked it up.
Right.
And from there, everybody started to take me seriously.
Yeah.
So I used to get inundated with like the local council wanting me to do this. It was almost saying, "Oh, it's a woman here with a business, and actually she's doing all right." So that transition from me looking at this from a business point of view was paramount, because I had to change my business, because to survive, we had to do a flip. And at the time, I remember it was all like about brows and lashes.
Yeah.
So I started dealing with a company called
Massive, didn't it?
HD Brows, Neelam and Karen. Amazing, and Nouveau Beauty Group. And that was like Nouveau Lashes. They brought out this lash system called Blink and Go, which was like express lashes, which were done in 30 minutes. And I thought, there's an opportunity here. So I got all the staff trained up, because I invested a lot of money in training, and I thought, right, we have to go with the times here. And if the beauty is going to generate more money, then that's what we have to do as a team. So we did that. And I remember one Christmas, the beauty outdid the hair, but what it did is it kept the hair alive, and it kept the salon afloat for a long time. And I saw a massive transition then. So it went from when we opened the salon to it being, I don't know if you remember all the very holistical like elements of spa, and we used a spa product, and it was all very tranquil and massagey and stuff like that. And then it changed, and we thought, people aren't wanting that anymore. They want proper treatments which are going to see results.
Yes.
So I invested in my very first machine, because I was always anti-machines. I remember all the reps coming down and going, "We'll show you this, we'll show you." Well, you can show me, but I'm not going to buy it, 'cause it just doesn't do. And I've always got this philosophy that if I wouldn't pay for something to have done myself, if you have demos and you're like, right, well, would I pay that for that treatment? And if the answer was no to that, I wouldn't take it on. Because I thought, how can I expect my clients to pay for something which I wouldn't invest in myself? And that's always been. So I'm sorry, all them companies out there, but I am a nightmare. I know. I research everything before I actually buy it, and that's one of the reasons. So Colour Lounge went through a bit of a transition. It got harder and harder and harder. And unfortunately, we were right in the slap bang of the city centre. It was a huge building. The overheads were massive. And it got to that stage where I was like, what am I doing? I was robbing Peter to pay Paul. I started doing consultancy for Nouveau Beauty Group for Karen Bell.
A lot of salons could relate to that now, because there's so many challenges at the moment, with prices of costs and products and equipment and everything going up. And then
you can't put
prices up now.
Are you scared to?
Yeah, that's it. And I think a lot of businesses are looking like that. And, last year, I think it was start of last year, we did our Survive and Thrive, because the simple that of allowing businesses to look with a fresh perspective and give them a few ideas on, this is where you can go. And that's part of your story, isn't it?
It's a massive part, because if I hadn't had that, the salon would have gone a long time before that. So in the end, what happened was I was doing consultancy for Karen Beth. She had this new machine called Airlift machine. She was like, look, we could do with somebody like you to come in. So I was doing 2 days a week for her, because I thought, I'm a bit bored. Like, I want to go do something else. So I still had the salon. And I used to love coming back to my salon, because all the other things used to frustrate me. I'd be like, why aren't they doing this? And why aren't they thinking that? And why haven't they got this? And I was just like shocked that big, like, who I thought big companies didn't have things in place. Because I was that used to doing that. And then it just got harder and harder. And that thing where like every month the wage bill came and I'm like, shit, how am I going to pay this? What the hell? You were literally juggling. It was a juggling thing. The rent stayed the same. The rates went up. Didn't get any help whatsoever from the council, even though we've invested £250,000 in that building. And it was just really tough times. Hull city centre just took a massive nosedive. All of a sudden, people weren't coming. My husband also had a really successful clothes shop, what he'd had for 20 odd years. It took a massive knock. And that was the decision. As hard as it was, I was like playing survival. And my accountant said to me, he went, Lesley, what are you doing? He was like, you're basically you're keeping the salon home to keep people in jobs, and that's it.
Right.
You're not paying yourself, you're not having any money. And I had to make that decision, and that was the hardest decision, I have to say, of my life.
Yeah.
Because that was my baby.
Mm.
But luckily, Karen Betts, who I just love to bits, she's just like such a good, inspirational person. She said to me, she went, Lesley, you've got to do permanent makeup.
Yeah.
She said, you'd be really good at it. Because I'd never invested in myself.
Right.
I'd always spent the money on courses for my staff, for
Yeah.
for everything else. And
Plus, you did the grounding and the beauty
I'd
therapy.
had the ground.
Yeah.
But then I'd be like, oh, I really miss doing this. I miss and I do the odd one.
Yeah.
I like this, but I felt like I was playing at it.
Right.
So I didn't have any clients myself.
Yeah.
And then what happened was, I invested some of the money. We ended up selling the business for peanuts, really. Somebody else to take on the lead, basically. And I had to call it a day with it. And I thought, for my own sanity, I need to do that. So I trained in permanent makeup, which we'll go on to a little bit when we're talking about qualifications and things like that, because it has changed now, fortunately.
Yeah.
But I did do it the right way. Karen she gave me a lot of like personal mentoring and stuff as well. So I kind of fast-tracked a little bit, and I loved it. And I was like, this is what I'm supposed to do. So that transition for me was so important. But my idea to start with was because I'd built relationships with all my lovely key accounts and salons to do clinics all over the country. So it's like, right, one day I'm here, the next day I'm there.
Yeah.
What I found frustrating was that, unfortunately, some of the salons weren't up to my standard, and like space. I like space around me. I like things nice and how it is, and I'm quite a controlling person in that respect. So I was like, I can't cope with this. I can't go in a salon and it not be mine.
And I think the difference is from like a hairdressing salon to when you start doing micropigmentation and that sort of thing. The protocols that you have to go through are so precise, aren't they? I mean, I wrote the standards for micropigmentation when I used to work at Habia years ago, and we did it for medical micropigmentation.
So you know what it's like to
legislation. All the legislation, all the clinical waste, all that side of it is absolutely massive, and you have to do it right. And the thing is, it's part of licensing anyway now through the local authorities as part of that.
I mean, we used to have a full day, obviously, with Karen's training program. It was so strict.
Yeah.
And I wish to God it would go back to that now.
Yeah.
But it was so strict that, I mean, I remember failing my eyeliner thing. I was devastated, but she wouldn't pass me because it wasn't right.
Yeah.
But I'm glad I did, because I went back and did it better.
Yes.
But we used to have like a full day just on infection control and pain management.
Absolutely.
That's like covered in probably like 2-hour session now.
Yeah.
It was.
I mean, it's massively in depth when you do that side of things. And then for me, one of the things that came in was microblading then. Yeah. And then everybody was doing these short courses on microblading.
Because it was easier.
Oh my goodness. No, you still have to go through all the various different protocols and all the health and safety and all
you have
that thing.
And that's the sad thing, I think, especially during COVID, when people were just doing these short courses and had no background, no experience, no skills of even touching somebody before. They could have worked in an office, or you'd hear of all these people doing that. And it's a bit mind-blowing, really.
It's when you've got a blade or you've got a needle that's piercing the skin, and you've got all your bloodborne viruses, all of that.
Yeah, and people don't see that side of it.
No.
They just see, oh, well, I'll go to somebody because it's cheap and their pictures look quite good on Instagram.
Yeah.
Not realising if something does go wrong, what happens.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I'm big in education and training. That's been my background for the last 25 years, and having standards there and qualifications and making sure that people go through a regulated auditing organisation through Ofqual or another regulator through SQA in Scotland, just to make sure there's that rigour there, because you're absolutely right. People go on these short, sharp courses and actually don't get the underpinning.
They don't.
A&P or infection.
And the confidence, and it's that confidence as well. So like, obviously when we did permanent makeup, as you know how strict it was. We had to go through all these protocols from bronze level to silver level. You couldn't progress until you'd completed that one up to like what I'm qualified in, which is like the elite one, which is, you can do medical tattooing as well. But I always wanted to be
And
the
that's
best
life
of the best.
changing. The medical
Unbelievable.
tattooing, it's unbelievable.
And what you can do for somebody.
Yeah, some of the,
Yeah.
end results you can get are absolutely mind-blowing and, as I say, life-changing.
Totally.
Yeah.
And that kind of led into aesthetics. I was always very anti injectables, as in, no, you shouldn't carry it out unless you're medic and blah, 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 blah. And I know there's a whole discussion what we're probably going to have about this. But I kind of got to that stage where GPs were contacting me.
Yeah.
Can I come and do a clinic? Like, there was this one guy in particular from where we are. Oh my God, he literally harassed me so much to come and do, because he knew I had clients.
Yeah.
I was like, shouldn't you be doing your job? You're like a GP.
Yeah.
Why would? And it was all about the money.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, if you're a good GP, surely you wouldn't need the fact to come and do clinics everywhere. And actually, this guy's now been struck off,
Right.
which just proves a point, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So I'd always been a bit like, oh no, I could never inject anybody. I could never do that. And then it kind of got to that peer pressure, and I saw everybody else doing. I thought, right, if I'm going to do this, I've got to do it right. And because I'd done my medical, that was my pathway in.
Yes.
Whereas now, it's all changed.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the standards had to be there, and I thought, no, I can do this. But I did mine very structured and very. I did a bit at a time. I didn't go and do the whole full blown thing. My friend had done that, and she found it a little bit too brain overloading for one, but also you need to perfect what you do first, do it well, and then kind of progress that way. So I'm so glad I did my journey like that, which led me really to working on my own. I didn't want staff anymore after the salon. I thought, I don't want to be responsible for anybody anymore. The only person I'm responsible for is myself. So I remember setting up with no clients, but everyone was asking me to do treatments. And I was like, well, am I going to do it?
Yeah.
So my husband converted half my double garage into a really nice salon. And I was like, kind of outgrew that after probably about 6 months. I was like, right, I need more space. We need a reception area. We need this. So that's kind of where I work from now. I've got a lovely little space separate to my house, and I work on my own. But I have to say, what I found, I remember when I was doing one of my first clients and I was having to ask for money, because I'd had a receptionist.
Yeah.
So obviously when you're asking for money in a salon, it's very different. Oh, your bill is this. And I was like a shy little mouse. I was like, oh, that'll just be £50, please. I was like, what am I doing? So it taught me, it took me quite a long time actually to get used to it being me. And I had to go on a course actually about self-branding.
Yeah.
I found it so hard. I wouldn't speak in front of the camera. I wouldn't promote myself because I always saw it as bragging.
Yeah.
Look how good I am. And I never wanted to come across like that. It's just like, and then when I look back, I think, actually, do you know what? I am very good at what I do because I've spent the time and I've invested in myself, and I continue to invest in myself. And I am bloody good at what I do, but I love mentoring.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, I've been through the hard times, I've been through the shifts, I can see.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes where people do get lost a bit is not having that business side first and foremost. You can spend loads and thousands. I see people doing all these courses and they spend thousands on the course, but they ain't got a business.
No.
And then all this money.
The thing is, it's about the right course, and it comes back to, the qualifications and training. 100%. And if somebody is wanting to go into aesthetics, and you hear all these horror stories in the news and newspapers and all the various different, but there are thousands and thousands of aesthetic practitioners. I mean, I've been involved in this arena right from my ex-Habia Skills Active days, where we were writing standards. We were involved in the KIOG review, so we were writing as part of that. I was a part of the JCCP board at one point, and helped to develop those standards, the CPSA standards, and on all that side of things. And for me, it's all about academic progression, and it's about being on the right program. There's
with the right provider.
With that, with the right provider. There's no
they are out there.
You can't literally go and do this in a couple of days or a couple of months or even a year. Yeah. It takes skill, and it takes time to learn to be able to do any treatment on the face, whether that's right from a facial.
Yeah, 100%.
For doing other things. I always say the difference between our sector and the medical sector is our people that come into the businesses are clients. And they call them patients. They call them patients. Well, a client comes in for an elective. They choose to have a treatment. A patient is generally referred.
The patient has a problem.
Yeah.
what needs solving. A client, like you
Yeah.
say, is something
Yeah.
what they actually come in because they want to come in.
And I think the benefits of somebody coming in from the beauty sector is you've got that personal.
Personable, yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
hairdresser, we're
Yeah.
used to, aren't we?
Yeah.
I think anybody who you talk to, it's a very unique industry what we're in.
Yeah.
And I think also we kind of know, we're very good at reading people, aren't we?
Absolutely.
When they come in, you know what kind of day they've had, or they go, I'm okay, and you're like, you're not. Come on,
Yeah.
tell me about it. And I think obviously in the job I do as well, probably a little bit more so than hairdressers, it's 1-to-1 in a room.
Yeah.
So they have a very safe space to tell you.
And they've got your
Um,
confidence. I always say, we're the community hub on the high street, and sometimes you tell your therapist and your aesthetic practitioner and your hairdresser things that you wouldn't tell other
totally.
people, you know what I mean? And they'll notice with your skin. Your skin changes if you're stressed or, you're under the weather. You can tell by the skin. And I think that's one of the biggest things that's for our sector is that anybody goes into aesthetics, you got your beauty therapy level 2, got your beauty level 3, you may do some electrical treatments as part of that. Then it's progression onto, a level 5 where you might be doing some micro needling, chemical peeling and stuff like that, and progressing up onto the levels as part of that. But you're talking years, and I always explain to people that a beauty therapy level 2 is 2 years. Then you're doing a level 3 on top of that. It's probably 2 to maybe 18 months, 2 years on top of that. That's 4 years in.
Yeah.
Now you're only to level 3 at that end.
Yeah.
Then you're talking about doing a basic aesthetic, practitioner, which is your microneedle and chemical peel, and maybe another year.
Yeah.
You're 5. Then you're looking about your level 6 and your level 7. You're on about 7 years. How many years does it take to be a doctor?
Exactly. Well, I've just completed my level 7. So wow, I'm just so proud of that actually, because do you know what was one of the hardest
Yeah.
I've done? I have to say, I've never been to university. I don't know how to write Harvard referencing and stuff like that. And I have to say, it was so challenging. I nearly gave up at one point on my second assignment. I was that close. So I suppose for somebody who's come out of uni, is used to writing, is used to doing that thing, they could probably, I'm not going to say sail through it because you've got obviously your practical side as well. But for me, but what it did do, it challenged my brain a little bit I had to step out.
Yeah.
And I did get proper memory kind of block on writer's block or whatever on one instance. I was like, I can't do this. I can't do this. But I did. I got through it. And then just when you think it's all over, you've got your short answer questions which are short. They're 350 words and you've got about 20 odd of them. Yeah. So I'm so proud to say that I've completed that, because that is I don't know if you probably know more than me. It's is it the equivalent of a master's degree?
It is.
So I get a cap and cap.
It is. And I think the qualifications now are a lot more accessible than what they were before. I think we went through a very big patch where we had quite a lot of rogue training providers. You're doing the short, sharp training courses. We'll get your prescriber with you. You'll get everything set up for you, and you'll pay thousands of pounds.
But it won't mean anything.
But it won't mean anything. And I think that's where we're working with government, with Department of Health and Social Care, to look at the licensing regime and look at a fair way of being able to do a licensing so it doesn't discriminate. There's no occupational bias. So there's no just because you're medical you can do it, but actually you've never trained on the face.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And same on the beauty side of things. There has to be that standard and that benchmark there. And you're absolutely right with the qualification. It has to be there.
It does. And I think experience should come into it as well, as to how, like you've just said then, you can't just go and sign up to do a level 5, level 7 and expect to do it in a year when you've got no background experience of the industry. And I think that is so wrong. And I think this is where the medics and non-medic argument is, because I'm not being funny. I've known nurses come in this industry. They haven't got, they might be somebody's backside one day. I'm looking at skin every day and look at people's faces every day. Who would you rather did your face?
Yeah.
That's it. But we've got. I think as long as it has that, then the off qual is probably the recognised one. What we need to do. Yeah. Or it needs standardising, and I think it does definitely need that thing of whether you're a medic or a non-medic. I think they should do the same qualification.
Absolutely. I think it's got to be.
Medics will disagree with this. But
why?
Question for the medics: why would you disagree with that then?
Yeah, that's it.
Next question.
I mean, what we're finding now is we've got loads of nurses that are going into nursing, but they don't want to be nurses.
Yeah.
They just want to be
They wanna make money.
prestigious because that's where the money is. And you know what I mean? And it is a growing industry. And the fact is that there is new services coming out, sometimes weekly.
We've talked
Yeah.
about this earlier, haven't we? We were just chatting about this. And yeah, I mean, I think it's one of the most progressive sectors.
Yeah.
It's one of the most lucrative sectors at the moment.
Yes.
You know, taking billions and billions of pounds right now, which is, I think, which kind of leads me on to respect our sector a little bit, really, because like, I get so annoyed.
Yeah.
People who don't understand what we do, they don't look at the value of the qualifications when they're done properly, like level 7, as to what that entails, what that goes into. The fact that we're not just, you know, we're not just there as providing a service. We provide so many services, from mental health to somebody's confidence, to having a safe space. I've worked with Women's Aid quite closely in my area of trying to start a campaign to recognise where safe spaces are for women who are going through abuse and stuff like that. And that's something which we can, as a sector, very much be involved in as well.
Oh, absolutely. We're keeping the high streets open. You know, if you look at the high streets, what is on there? You know, hair, beauty, business, pound shop,
Charity shop.
Yeah, maybe an estate agent. Yeah, if you're looking at part of that. Yeah. And that's the big thing that we're saying. You know, I think for me, our industry is a fantastic sector to go into. You know, there's so many opportunities, and like you've gone through today, you started here, but you're here now, and you've done this as part of that. But one of the key take homes, I always think, it's all about skills and experience. Yeah. You can't learn any hair, beauty, or aesthetic skill overnight. No. It takes time, it takes competence, and it's about having the right qualifications and the right training to do that. And we get the big headlines like the wild, wild west and stuff like that. But I think you demonstrate that there's absolutely fantastic practitioners out there that have gone the right route to do it, that the clients can have that confidence to do that. But also, you're a testament that you can turn the business model around.
You can, and you've got to move ahead with the times as well. I think, Caroline, you've got to I would say to anybody kind of out there who's in a business, if you're stuck in a rut, you've got to change the model, because the model moves faster than what you do. And if you're not on the same bandwagon, if you like, you're going to miss out. Like, I had to change my hair, the size of my hair, and eventually it became 70% beauty, 30 hair. I had to survive. And that's, you know, if you're going through that at the moment, or you're stuck in a rut, change.
Absolutely.
You know, to look at what you do and look within your business model. You know, things like nails are not profitable for a lot of salons to do now because of the cost of your product, your time. You know, you bear into that factor of, you know, what are you actually getting from it as well. You know, you're working on your own. And it really astounds me how many businesses, and I know this is hard for if you work on your own, look at your price lists, like look at your logo, look at your branding. To me, that's the first thing you should look at before you even set a business up.
Absolutely.
It's so important, because if you're not making profit, you're not going to last.
No.
So all this money you're spending on your training's irrelevant.
Absolutely. And I think that's why we did our Survive and Thrive thing. And it's really available on our website still. So there's loads of tools and resources. We've got checklists on there as well.
Your resources are amazing.
Health and safety toolkits, we've got self-employed checklists, there's all the various different things like that. But it's been really, really interesting to hear about all, you know, the various different transition things. And I know we've got, you know, a bit of a struggle on our hands to get the recognition for the aesthetic side of things. And I think that's a key.
I'm going to help you with that.
Yeah,
a big point.
Part of our Respect Our Sector campaign, because it's like, we're here, we contribute, you know, 9 billion to the, you know, UK economy.
And it's growing.
And it's growing and growing. And we've got so many practitioners across, you know, the board. And we're highly skilled, we're highly trained, and we support our community, we support our clients. And that's a key thing.
But I think with what the NHBF is unique in offering, I don't know this in any other industry, what does this is almost like a lifeline to salons. So, you know, if like, you know, like myself now, I work on my own. I have nobody to bounce off. I don't know. If you're unsure of the regulations, or you're unsure of what to do, how to set a business up, you've developed a great new pathway, which been involved in a little bit as well, as to direct you into the right way to do things. Or I think sometimes you just need that like bounce off as well, don't you?
Yeah, I always say it's a safety net. We're just that bit
better than one, aren't they?
Absolutely.
Completely. And I would say it's very like previously to that, obviously I've been involved in the NHF, and it wasn't until recently when I met you guys, then I was like, oh, you do beauty as well now.
Yeah.
That was quite new to me. And I was like, oh, I wonder how many other people don't realise that. So I think bringing the beauty and aesthetics thing for the organisation is like a massive plus point for anybody, and probably more so, I think, for beauty and aesthetics, because there is more people on their own.
There is, and that's where we're doing specific resources for those aesthetic practitioners out there that are really worried at this moment regarding the regulation and what's happening. And we're in the task and finish group, so we know what's happening.
Well, you're amazing because you attend everything, don't you? You're so like...
I mean, I've been 15 years in as part of this, helped develop standards and helped develop all things. We've got national occupational standards for every modality out there. So there is everything that's there. We just need to put all the places in everything. But what we want to make sure is there's no occupational bias there.
No.
You know,
that's so important.
Everybody has the equality to be able to progress into a job that they want to do, so long as they've got the right qualifications and training to do that. And that's the biggest thing. You know, for me, there should be no barriers for anybody entering any sector.
No, totally. I think it's wrong to actually state that as well, because it's well, I'm not going to go into it, but it's a bit offensive actually to say that somebody who's not a medic cannot carry out that treatment as effectively as somebody who is a medic. Well,
and I think for us, we're predominantly female entrepreneurs. Do you know what I mean? And that's what I respect our sector is about. Is respect us, respect what we do, because we do the qualifications, we're training, and we do watch your back. You know, as a customer, as part of that. So
you've got some exciting things coming up, haven't you?
Oh, we've got some absolutely exciting things coming up on the horizon. So I would say keep an eye on the NHBF website. So before I draw to the end, I'm just going to ask just one question. If you got somebody who was thinking about entering the sector today, what advice would you give them?
I would say have a look at the reason why you're setting it up. And if the reason isn't, I mean, obviously there's two sides to this, isn't there? You've got like your inspiration side because you're creative and you really want to do that. And you've got that kind of want and need to transform somebody's life, ultimately. But also you have to look at it as a business model, because if not, that other side will eat away at you eventually. You'll have the motivation to start with, but that won't sustain, because you can't run something for a charity, can you? Out of it. So I would say get your business model put in place first and have a reason as to what is your why. Why are you doing it?
You know, thank you for, doing this episode of our Sofa Talk. It has been truly inspirational.
No, thank you. And thank you for all the work you do, because I don't think people understand what goes into this organisation and the hours and the facts. You're so spot on with everything. It's right. It saves us all the time to do it. And I'd just like to really close by just saying, if you're not in the NHBF, I'm not promoting here, but like you really need to join this, because there's so much exciting things coming out. Like we are going to be out and about, aren't we? Hopefully you're gonna get me on board here to do that. I love getting out and meeting people, and there's going to be a lot more of that to come. So I would say definitely you need to be part of this, and the NHBF is moving. It's modernising itself. It's got this new approach, this fresh new look, and things just like this are really interesting. And I think people learn off people, don't they?
Absolutely.
We all learn from each other.
We're part of all types of businesses within the sector, whether that hair, beauty, nails, spa, aesthetics. That's what we support, and we provide the tools and guidance as part of that. And that's why we're doing these things, because we want to spread some inspirational stories, give some people some ideas.
Yeah, and a bit of hope, I think, as well.
Absolutely.
And you're not alone.
Yeah, that's it. But I would always say to people, come and have a look at our website. Yes, we've got the membership offer there, and we'd love everybody to become a member. But also we have a lot of free tools and resources that businesses can use, and particularly on our Survive and Thrive webpage, there is absolutely loads of stuff that you can just download and apply to your business.
Am I allowed to say? And if you like it, hit the subscribe button. I've been dying to say that because everyone says that on podcasts, don't they? Yeah, hit the subscribe button.